Welcome to English Grammar 1, Unit 6, Past Continuous. I was doing. Today we are going to study the next tense, which is the past continuous in English. Past continuous is used to express an action while you are in the middle of doing the action, but at a certain point in the past. At a certain point of time in the past. For example, yesterday at 5 o'clock I was teaching English, or I was teaching English yesterday at 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock is a point of time. I started at 4:30 and finished at 6. At 5 o'clock I was in the middle of doing the action. So we use it to express an action while we are in the middle of doing the action at a certain point in the past, not now. If we are in the middle of the action now, then it is a present continuous. When you are in the middle of the action, this indicates continuous, and at a certain point in the past indicates past, then it becomes past continuous. So when we express an action while we are in the middle of the action at a certain point in the past, we use past continuous. The form of past continuous is subject plus was or were plus verb plus ing. Was or were are the past of be to indicate the past, and verb plus and ing indicates the continuous. So the form becomes like this. I takes was, then it becomes I was teaching English grammar. He was teaching English grammar. He was studying English grammar yesterday at 5 o'clock. And we, you, they take, or plural, take the auxiliary verb or the helping verb were plus verb plus ing. Then we can say they were studying English yesterday at 5 o'clock. We were studying English grammar yesterday at 5 o'clock. You were studying English grammar yesterday at 5 o'clock. Here we have one example situation. Yesterday, Karen and Jim played tennis. We have yesterday. Yesterday indicates past simple. That's why we use here played. They began at 10 o'clock and finished at 11:30. They began at 10 o'clock and finished at 11:30. So at 10:30 they were in the middle of doing the action, and it was yesterday, so we use past continuous. So we say they were playing tennis yesterday at 10:30. They were playing tennis yesterday at 10:30. At 10:30 yesterday they were in the middle of doing the action, in the middle of playing. So we use past continuous here. They is plural, so we use the helping verb were. They were playing equals they were in the middle of playing. They had not finished playing. So was or were plus verb plus ing is the past continuous. I, he, and she, and it take the helping verb or the auxiliary verb was, and then comes the verb plus ing. I was playing, he was playing, she was playing, it was playing. We, you, they, plural, take the auxiliary verb or the helping verb were, then comes the verb plus ing. So it becomes like this. We were playing, you were playing, they were playing. We were doing, you were doing, they were doing. We were working, you were working, they were working, etc. B. I was doing something. I was in the middle of doing something at a certain time in the past. The action or the situation had already started before this time, but had not finished yet. So if we look at the sketch here, we have 2 points in the past. I started doing, and the other point, I finished doing. In the middle of the action, we have the form I was doing. Let's imagine that the oval shape in blue indicates a past point, let's say yesterday, and now indicates today. So all the action is in the past, yesterday, at a certain point where I was doing, let's say at 5 o'clock. I was doing at 5 o'clock. So we say I was teaching English grammar yesterday at 5 o'clock. So it expresses an action in the middle of doing it at a certain point in the past. For example, we say this time last year. This time means at this moment. Last year. What was going on? I was living in Brazil. I was living before this time, this moment, and I remained living after this moment. But when last year, today I am not there. So I say I was living in Brazil at a certain point. Here last year indicates past, and this time indicates this moment of time. At this moment. So we have a point of time, and we have last year indicates past, and a point of time means the verb was going on at that point of time last year. So we use past continuous. What were you doing at 10 o'clock last night? We have here last night indicates past, and 10 o'clock indicates point of time. So we have a point of time, and the action, you were in the middle of doing the action at 10 o'clock last night. So we have past time and exact point of time. So we have here past continuous. This indicates that the action was going on at 10 o'clock. The person was in the middle of doing the action at 10 o'clock when last night in the past. So we use past continuous. If the action is now and we are at the middle of doing the action now, then it is a present continuous. But when you are in the middle of doing the action in the past, then it is past continuous. So we use here, what were you doing at 10 o'clock last night? You just look at the point of time 10 o'clock and last night. If it was only last night, then you use past simple. because last night indicates past simple. But if you have a point of time and now a certain hour in the past, like 10 o'clock, that means the action is continuous. So you are supposed to use past continuous and use the plural takes where. And because it is a question, we put where, the auxiliary verb or the helping verb before the subject. I waved to Helen, but she wasn't looking. When I waved to Helen, she wasn't looking. This is when action interrupts another action. When action interrupts another action. The action which is finished takes past simple, and the other action which remains continuous takes past continuous. And both actions are in the past. So the long action takes past continuous, and the finished action or the completed action takes past simple. And this can be in the form of the rule of the conjunction when. So we say, when I waved to Helen, she wasn't looking. She wasn't looking before I waved, and after I finished waving, she wasn't looking as well. So when action is completed, waved, took past simple, and the action which remained continuous took past continuous, and both actions were in the past. Let's move to point C. Compare the past continuous I was doing and the past simple I did. Here is a comparison between past continuous and past simple. Past continuous is used when you are in the middle of the action at a certain point in the past. Past simple is used when you finished the action in the past, when the action is finished or completed in the past. Let's see examples of past continuous. I was walking home when I met Dave. Here we use the rule of when. When is in the middle. What comes after when directly? Past simple. And the other tense is past continuous. If when is at the beginning, then we say, when I met Dave, I was walking home. We can write it in another way. When I met Dave, I was walking home. You must put in mind that what comes after when directly is the past simple, and the other action is past continuous, whether when is written at the beginning of the sentence or when is written at the middle of the sentence. If it is written at the beginning of the sentence, you must use comma in the middle. If it is written in the middle of the sentence, don't use comma. But what comes after when directly is past simple, and the other tense is past continuous. So I met Dave and I was walking. I was walking before I met Dave, and after I met Dave, I continued walking in the past. So it was in the middle of an action. Here we can say the rule when action interrupts another action. I met her while I was walking. I was walking and I continued walking, and I met her in the middle. Met her and finished and continued walking. So we use past continuous for the long action, and for the short action we use past simple. And here one action interrupts another action. Kate was watching television when I arrived. When we arrived. We arrived, entered the house, finished. Kate was watching before we arrived, and Kate remained watching after we arrived. So the long action was Kate was watching. So it took past continuous. And the finished action is arrived, or the completed action is arrived. It took past simple. So we use past simple after when. So we say Kate was watching television when we arrived. Or we can say when we arrived, comma, Kate was watching television. Here two actions. One action interrupts another. The long action takes Past continuous and the short or the completed action takes past simple. On the other hand, the past simple is a completed action in the past. There is no point of time in the past. No certain point of time. We just speak about last night, yesterday, last year, etc. I walked home after the party last night. We have here last night indicates past simple. We have already took this in the past tense. So this is a complete action or completed action finished yesterday. So we use past simple. So here we use past simple, walked. Kate watched television a lot when she was ill last year. We have here last year. She was ill. Was past. And last year indicates past, so we use past simple. Kate watched completed and finished action last year. Completed and finished action in the last year, so we use past simple. So we speak about a completed action. D. We often use the past simple and the past continuous together to say that something happened in the middle of something else. Or in other words, when one action interrupts another action. The finished action or the completed action takes past simple, and the continuous action or the long action takes past continuous. The finished action or completed action takes past simple, and the long action takes past continuous. For example, Matt phoned while we were having dinner. So here we have the rule of while. While is written in the middle. What comes after while directly is the long action. So we use were having dinner. We use past continuous after while. And the other tense takes past simple, phoned. We were having dinner. In the middle of having dinner, Matt phoned. Matt phoned and finished. And we remained having dinner. So the long action was having dinner. So we say we were having dinner. And the short action is phoning. So we say Matt phoned. Or the completed action is phoning. So we say Matt phoned. Matt phoned while we were having dinner. Or we can say it in another way, start with while. While we were having dinner, comma, Matt phoned. If we look here at while rule, we notice that while rule is opposite or contradictory to when rule. When is followed by past simple and while is followed by past continuous. And the other tense takes the other rule. While is followed by past continuous. What comes directly after while is past continuous, and the other tense is past simple. Here we were having dinner. Past continuous after while directly, and the other tense font is in the past simple. If it is when, then let's see. It was raining when I got up. When is followed by got up, past simple, and the other tense is past continuous. If you compare while and when, you will find the rules is changed. While is followed by past continuous and the other tense is past simple. And when is followed by past simple and the other tense is past continuous. Here when is followed by Past simple, got up, and the other tense is past continuous, was raining. I saw you in the park yesterday. Here we have yesterday, then the action is completed action, finished action, then it is in the past simple. So we use the verb so. Full stop. You were sitting on the grass. This was a long action in the past, at a certain point in the past when I saw. The point of time here is so, the verb so. It was in the middle of the other action, were sitting. You were sitting before I saw you, and you remained sitting after I saw you on the grass. And you were reading a book. You were reading a book before I saw you, and you remained reading a book after I saw you. So the long actions are were sitting and were reading. Were sitting and were reading. Here, where is not repeated because it is understood from the previous part. You were sitting. So it becomes like this. You were sitting on the grass and you were reading a book. These are the long actions. They are written in the past. And the point of time in the past is when I saw you in the park yesterday. Means, for example, yesterday at 6 o'clock. I saw you at 6 o'clock yesterday. Becomes like this, as if we say yesterday at 6 o'clock yesterday, you were sitting on the grass and you were reading a book. So, or we can say, when I saw you in the park, and connect the sentences, put comma instead of the full stop and say, when I saw you in the park yesterday, you were sitting on the grass and reading a book. This is the rule of one. Or, I saw you in the park yesterday while you were sitting on the grass and reading a book. The next example, I hurt my back while I was working in the garden. Hurt her, past simple, and what comes after while is past continuous. While I was working. I was working before I hurt my back, and I remained working after I hurt my back. So the long action was working, and hurt is the completed action or finished action, takes past simple. So the rule becomes like this. I hurt my back while I was working in the garden. Or if we start with while, we say, while I was working in the garden, comma, I hurt my back, full stop. But we use the past simple to say that one thing happened after another. If we speak about two actions that are not interrupting each other, like past simple and past continuous, let's say one action comes after another action without a gap of time, without a difference of time between both actions, directly. One action finishes, another action starts, and both in the past, then we use past simple for both actions. I was walking along the road when I saw Dave. This is one action interrupts another action. I saw Dave, finished action or completed action, took past simple, and the continuous action, the long action, takes past continuous. I was walking along the road. Full stop. Here, so I stopped and we had a chat. First action finished, stopped, and starting having a chat. So what happened? Stopped, finished in the past, and had a chat, a complete and finished action, but comes after stopped without a gap of time. Without a gap of time, directly stopped and had a chat. One action followed another directly without any gap of time. So we use here both in the past simple. They are not interrupting each other. The first one stopped, finished, and the second one had a chat, started directly without gap of time. So it becomes, so I stopped and had a chat. One action follows another. So we use here past simple for both. But when one action interrupts another, one becomes past simple and that is the completed action, and the continuous action or the long action takes past continuous. Compare. When Karen arrived, we were having dinner. We were sitting and having dinner, and Karen arrived in the middle while we were having dinner. She arrived and finished, and we remained sitting and having dinner. So what is the long action here? The long action here is we're having dinner. The short action arrived. Just entered the house, and before she entered the house, we were having dinner. We were sitting and having dinner, and she entered and we remained having dinner. So the short action is arrived and the long action having dinner. So we say when Karen arrived, and here past simple came after when directly, and the other tense is we're having past continuous, the long action. We had already started before she arrived, and we did not finish yet. On the other hand, when Karen arrived, we had dinner. This implies that when Karen arrived, she arrived and we started having dinner. After she arrived directly, we started having dinner. So one action follows another. That's why we use past simple and past simple. When Karen arrived, here past simple after when, and the other tense is past simple. We had dinner. We started having dinner. Karen arrived and then we had dinner. Then directly after she arrived, we started having dinner. That's why we use past simple and past simple, because one action comes after another action directly without any gap of time. They are not interrupting each other. In the first example, when Karen arrived, we were having dinner. One action interrupted another action. حدث قطع حدث. But on the other one, when Karen arrived, we had dinner. One action followed another without a gap of time. That's why we use both actions in the past simple. So it becomes like this. When Karen arrived, we had dinner. Had here is past simple and arrived is past simple. E. Some verbs, for example, know and want, are not normally used in the continuous. We have already taken in unit number 3 that there are verbs which are stative verbs. Stative verbs don't come in the continuous, whether it was present continuous, past continuous, present perfect continuous. So they must be used in the simple form. So here, we were good friends. This is past simple. We knew each other well. Another past simple, simultaneous actions. And if we want to say to write it in the continuous, we cannot say we were knowing each other. We were knowing each other. Incorrect. It is incorrect. It is not correct. It is not correct to say we were knowing each other, because here you use past continuous and the verb know doesn't come in the continuous form. So we must use it in the simple form. And we want a past form, so we use it in the past simple. So we say we knew each other. We don't say we were knowing each other. I was enjoying the party. This is past continuous. But Chris wanted to go home. We cannot say Chris was wanting to go home because the verb want is a stative verb, so it cannot come in the continuous, so we can't use it in the past continuous, so we opt for past simple. We write it in the simple form and it is in the past, so we use it in the past simple. So it becomes, but Chris wanted to go home. To conclude, we can say past continuous is used to describe an action while a person is in the middle of doing it or at a certain point of time in the past. For example, yesterday at 10 o'clock or at 10 o'clock yesterday. An action, or we can use it again also when an action interrupts another action. The form of past continuous is subject plus was or were plus verb plus ing. We have the two conjunctions when and while. We have rules for when and while, so we can use it this way. When is followed by past simple and past continuous. If we use when in the middle, again when is followed by past simple and the other tense comes at the beginning, it becomes past continuous. What comes directly after when is past simple and the other tense is past continuous, whether the other tense was at the end of the sentence or at the beginning of the sentence. So we can say, when she knocked at the door, I was teaching English grammar. Or I was teaching English grammar when she knocked at the door. She knocked and finished, and I was teaching before she knocked, and I remained teaching after she knocked. This rule or this sentence can be written by using while, but we must change the arrangement of tenses after while. While is followed by past continuous and the other tense is past simple. While plus past continuous plus past simple, or if while comes in the middle, while is followed by past continuous and the other tense is past simple if it comes at the beginning. So we can say, while I was teaching English grammar, she knocked at the door. Or she knocked at the door while I was teaching English grammar. The last point of the past continuous here, the rule of past continuous with while, when we use while and the two actions are not short. The two actions, when we don't speak about one action interrupts another, we speak about two actions which go in parallel, like the railway. They don't cut or interrupt each other. They go together for a long time. Suppose you were studying, you will study naturally for 1 hour, 1.5 hours, and your mother was cooking and she will take half an hour or 1 hour cooking. So they go together for a long time. When the two actions go together for a long time, it doesn't matter whether which one finishes before, but they run for a long time together. Which one finishes before or after the other, it doesn't matter. And it is not important that they finish together at the same time. We can use here, in both cases, we can use past continuous, but with the conjunction while. So we say, while I was studying English, my mother was cooking. Or my mother was cooking while I was studying English. So it is very important to concentrate on the two tenses, on the two actions, and see which one is completed and which one is continuous, which one is long. or if they are both long actions, run for a long time together. So in this case, if they run for a long time together, we must use both tenses in the past continuous along with the conjunction while. So we say, while my mother was cooking, I was studying English, or while I was studying English, my mother was cooking. That's all. Thank you.